I mean, there's no one like me. Trying, deep down, you trying. What's up, what's up, what's up? It's Paris Hart, and you're tuning in for another episode of the Love With podcast. Today, we're sitting with a soulful artist who's repping a city that's putting on for the music industry. Today, we're sitting with Detroit's own JayPitts.
What up? What up? What up? Thanks for having me, man. What up, though? Is what we say in Detroit.
What up, bro?
Yes, sir.
So first things first, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm feeling pretty energized. I just got from the gym, so and I just fresh out of VidCon for it was like a week ago. Yeah, so I'm feeling good. I'm on cloud nine.
Hey, that's great. That's great. So how did you get the name JayPitts?
Man, I feel like everybody been calling me that forever. Like my actual last name is Pitts. And and with my first name starting with Jay, everybody's always called me Jay. And especially like growing up playing basketball, we was always trying to like come up with nicknames. Like back when and one was popular in street ball and NBA street value, all that stuff. Like me and my friends that played basketball, we'd give each other nicknames. I was Jay Money at one point, but then JayPitts stuck. It was just easy, simple. So that's just what everybody called me anyway.
Hey, that's dope because it's not like it's an alter ego. Some people say this is who I am when I record. It's like this is JayPitts, authentic, 24/7 is what you're gonna get.
Always. A lot of people know me as Jay, but people that know me as like my actual first name usually it's like like family and stuff. So my head turns a little different when people say hey yo Jay versus like hey Justin. I'm like, oh, that must be some blood, Yeah.
I mean, being from that Detroit environment, how has that influenced your sound?
So Detroit has been inspiring to me just from the rich history. Like we have a very strong musical history in this city, from Motown and all the greats. And my dad moved over to Detroit. He used to DJ on the east side at parties and stuff, but he moved over from Belize in Central America. So I'm first generation here on his side. But growing up listening to smooth jazz, listening to all the oldies, all the Motown greats, all the history, Stevie, the Supreme, like everybody, and then that being chopped up by Jay Dilla with more hip hop sounds and just the soulfulness of everything. And Detroit is just a magical city, but it's a tough city. You gotta hustle. It's very brick and mortar. Detroit is the city that booed Dave Chappelle. Okay, so nobody here is gonna give you your props unless they see you. And even if they see you, they'll still wait to tell you that they rock with you. And I noticed that because when I hopped out and I was in Cali at VidCon, there was multiple people coming up to me like, oh, I see you, I see you. I'm like, dang, I don't get this in my own city. That's crazy, So yeah, it's definitely influenced how I approach music, how I approach what I appreciate, and it gave me my soul.
And it's great coming from a city that gives you tough love because it's like nothing's gonna be sugar coated. I'm not gonna have someone saying fake, oh, this is good when it's questionable. You're just gonna get it, and how it's gonna be receptive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when I do stuff now, it's like I'm not asking you if it's good. I'm like, it's either your thing or it's not. But it's not a question as to whether it's good or not. We already done made it through that litmus test. So
Back. So where do you get your inspiration from?
Man, I would say my inspirations, the things that have hit me the heaviest growing up and stayed with me would be artists like Lauryn Hill, Lupe Fiasco, Kanye West, Andre 3000, outspoken people that were disruptors in society. And it's funny because when I think about Lauryn Hill, Kanye West, Andre 3000, they're all Geminis like me. And and even Kendrick, Biggie, Tupac, a lot of my inspirations are Geminis. And I like to think that has something to do with why I'm a disruptor, and I might say certain things in my lyrics that, I like to hide the medicine in the music. I say I like to balance the ratchet and the righteous, we gonna have fun, we gonna talk ignorant stuff and say what we want to say, but at the same time, I'm still gonna give you something that can impact you, make you think, make you learn, make you reassess life from a different angle. And I think that's what all of those inspirations did too. Lupe is a heck of a storyteller, so I take a lot of inspirations from him as well. And they're just impactful. Anytime these artists hop up on a verse, your ears perk up. You're ready. That feature is really about them. So that's one of the things that I pull from them. Like, okay, how can I be impactful? And I'm naturally a disruptor. when it comes to just how I live in society. I even went to Africa for a month last year just to see what was up, learn a new language. So that's the type of approach I'm taking to life, and I bring that to my music any way I can.
Hey, you know, I try to surround myself around Geminis. Like 3 of my best friends are Geminis.
Hey, that means something.
my favorite thing about them is they won't say something just to say it. They're gonna say something. You're gonna have to think about it, and it's gonna have a double meaning behind it. A week later, it'll be like, oh, dude said this, and it wasn't just that. He was trying to add on and tell me something. So big ups to all the Geminis out there.
Mm-hmm. Shout out to all the Geminis, and I second that. I often use metaphors to like speak what I want to say. It's better poetically sometimes. I just naturally, we'll probably get a couple of examples I use. Even I just can't get away from doing it. You know, while we even on this podcast, we'll probably see if I end up popping out one or two. But yeah, I agree.
Speaking about all the metaphors, where do you get your creative process? What is it like when you're thinking, okay, I'm gonna put this in the song, or I'm gonna do this?
That's a good one. Like it's just, if I'm not living it, it's not going into the music. It's really what I'm thinking about, what I'm experiencing. And, you know, I really interpret life a lot of times through music, like hearing beats, hearing what other artists have to say and how they have made sense out of a situation in their life. I'm like, how can I tell my story in a way that it's really therapeutic to me? Like, sometimes I listen back to my old songs and I get teared up. I'm like, yo, like I'm living in answered prayers. Like I remember when I was talking about quitting my job. I remember when I made my first $100 a month off of the streams. And, you know, then I remember when it got different, when the checks started getting bigger, you know, and it's just like crazy to see that. So I really just use what's around me. My family is a big source, you know, my daughter, my wife, just like, you know, I have a very fairy tale love story when it comes to just, you know, I've known my wife since I was 12, you know, so it's just like a lot of that inspiration and backing from family and just different things I've gone through. I just put it to music and it writes itself. It just writes itself. I don't have to try too hard.
Speaking about your music, you're killing it. As an independent artist, 1.3 million video views a month. That's big. A lot of artists out there are like, dang, JayPitts is doing it as an independent artist. How have you been able to just kill the game like that?
Man, it's crazy because this past month it was 5.3, which was even wilder. On TikTok, it's just been going up. But like I just try to be early on stuff. Like I'm not always catching the wave on everything, but TikTok was one of the ones that I'm like, no, I'm gonna bite the bullet on this. It was nothing but like 12, 13-year-old, you know, like little white girls from the app at first. And I'm like, I'm about to stick out like a sore thumb. But I heard Gary Vee talking about, y'all need to get on TikTok. I need to jump ahead of the wave. So I went out there, I tried some stuff. It was real cringy. I almost deleted that app too after a couple of days of like, yeah, this feels out of pocket. But then when I came back, I'm like, I saw 30K on one video, 8K. I'm like, nah, these got to be bots. Something got to be going on. But then I was like, let me just give this some more. I did some remixes. I was early on. I'm talking about when you had 500,000 views on a video, most of TikTok saw your video at the time because of how many people were on it. So the virality I was getting at the time, comparably speaking, it was like if I had 1 million views on a video, that meant that most people, like you were literally TikTok famous. Like most people on the app saw you. And even TikTok jumped into my DMs at a time when I was doing Doja Cat remixes to songs and stuff. And they're like, yo, we see you and everything. So I just was early on it. And I decided to just like, when TikTok pivoted, because I've been through the shadow bans and all the little political things that they did. Just trying to pivot and stay on top of things, stay creative. And, you know, when I hit a dry patch, not to let it hit my mental too much, because TikTok can play with you, make you think you trash when you really make good content. And so just staying consistent and just doing my best to pivot when everything is, you know, stay ahead of my creative curve. Because it's hard being a content creator. When I get enough money, you know, I'll just be able to make the content that I want. And I do make the content that I want, but do it when I want and how I want and on a platform that, you know, I probably won't stop using TikTok. But just like, you know, just do it a little bit different. You know what I mean? So just staying consistent. That's really it. And staying inspired by life.
For everyone listening, we're not just talking to a regular schmegular TikToker. I'm talking 890,000 followers. Just you've seen him. You've seen him. You heard his voice. You know who we got today live in the flesh. What's the difference and what's the feeling between creating a content video on TikTok versus creating music? Is it a different creative process or is it sort of the same?
Yeah, it's definitely different. I'm less married to the content that I do on TikTok. Like if I say something that doesn't end up aging well, I can private it or whatever. I'm like, okay, I don't really feel that. Or like just going into a video, I could just think of something like right now based on what you said and be like, oh yeah, I can make a video about that. Because as long as I'm being authentic to myself, I'm like, anything could be a viral moment. I've gone viral for many things, like over many different reasons that I wouldn't expect. So I always think like, okay, this could be one, but I can't approach music like that. I have to approach music like, this is what I want to say. I'm writing it in permanent marker. So you better be careful. You know what I mean? Like, this is, even if I change and I grow, at least you'll be able to track that as I'm very intentional with the music versus TikTok. I'm like, I'm gonna be me, and whatever leads people back to me, eventually that'll lead them back to my music, which is the biggest, thing.
So what's the hardest thing about being a creator and an artist?
The hardest thing about being a creator and an artist?
Yeah, like for each of them.
Yeah, so the hardest thing about being a creator, I would say, is when you have extreme viral moments and you think that means that you good, that you on now, but that couldn't be farther from the truth. Like, you can go, I got videos with 6 million views. I got one that's about to hit 5 that I did like a couple of weeks ago, or no, about a month ago. I got multiple million view one. SZA posted me on her story. J. Cole producer was rocking with one of my stuff. Big old pages was posting me world star, but it's like, but that doesn't mean you're on the yellow brick road. That just could mean that you created a moment, that you had something there, and that's not going to necessarily lead for some people, at least, to stuff. But I would just say to people, like, just gauge your expectations and just enjoy the moment and try to capitalize on it the best you can to lead people to other sources that you want them to be at permanently. And I'll say the hardest thing about being an artist is knowing what your vision is, knowing what you want to do and what you set out to accomplish, but just having to walk through the limitations and stages of like, okay, so I'm not here yet though, or the budget's not here yet though, or the exposure's not here yet, or just dealing with like corporate people, that take long for contracts, like, yo, or like, want to play you for prices and stuff, like, yo, my price is my price, come on, quit playing, y'all was cool before, just let's keep it the same price y'all said it would be. But it's a good problem to have when you think about the fact that, at least there's contracts on the table. At least, I'm having these types of conversations with companies to where it's just like, well, let's up it to this amount instead of like this amount. Beforehand, when it was just me, I was cool with like $250, $300, $500, but it's different now. So it's a good problem to have that, I got to remind myself, like, yeah.
We're talking contracts. With all the success you have, would you sign with the label?
I'm not against it, but ideally speaking, and this is me right now, so if any labels are listening to this, then let's still talk. But I would say, like, in order to get me right now, you can't have my masters at all. And, I would need a smooth like 2.5 to 4 million. And that'll allow me to set myself up. So even if y'all decide to shelve me or whatever, I know I'm old enough now. I got a daughter, I got a family, I got the right type of mind. I know what to do with it. I know how to do my taxes. I know who gets what and how to finesse whatever and set myself up to where if I didn't have to depend on you, I'm good regardless. But I will also need a team on that label, because you can be signed to the best label ever. I talked to Atlantic, I talked to Interscope, I talked to different people, and they're all great. They all talk a great game, but I need to have some people in them buildings that are on my side that are going to be there to gauge my success and be there for me, to where I'm not having to like getting signed by Kanye, but then I can never reach the man because he got his own type of stuff going on. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I can't be in those situations. You feel me? So I don't want to act out of desperation. I want to, I'll probably sign a deal when I don't need it.
For everyone listening out there, make sure you listen to what JayPitts said. He wanted to keep the masters, and he knew what he wanted before he goes into these conversations. If you're an artist and if you're getting numbers and you're grinding and you're creating, you have to know what you're gonna say and what you want when you go into these meetings, because anyone could say, we have this artist signed, or we have this artist, and you could be the next one, but you have to know what you're getting, and you have to know what you're worth and get it. And so everyone listening out there, make sure that ear candy doesn't get to you. You have to make sure what is being said matches with what you deserve and what you work to get.
Exactly, because how they season their chicken might not be how I like to eat it. There go a metaphor right there. I told you I can't get away from it. But yeah, how they eating over there, that might not be tasteful to me. We did this for this artist and this artist. Okay, this ain't an assembly line. And a lot of labels will do that and allow that to happen with artists, because they see dollar signs or whatever the case may be, you signing your rights away. Like, I even look at Doja Cat, and as great as an artist she is, I was on to her a little bit before her mood breakout. And to see her now, she's successful, she's rich. I mean, she looks great, but she's been battling those bouts of depression and just like not really liking the music as much anymore. And that's one thing I don't ever want to lose, because music is essential. Like me being in touch with who I am as a Black man, as an African, as it's the quote that says, knowledge to the Greeks is emotion to the Africans. Like, we are professional expressors, and that's why hip hop is number one. We do that. Like, we have that vibration that can heal. And once you add corporate mindset to it, it can get funny, and it starts messing with your soul in a way where it's like, how am I trying to create something authentic from a fake place? And I don't ever want to be in that position ever.
Everyone out there, this is knowledge that's being dropped down. Y'all gotta listen to this, because this is something that you have to know. Everything's gonna sound good, and the potential, whenever you look at the forecast, there's never a forecast that's a rainy day. Like, it's gonna be amazing. But big ups, thank you for saying that, and our listeners need to hear that.
Yeah, most definitely.
When you're grinding content videos, you're grinding music. Like, it seems like you're always working. So what do you do in your free time?
In my free time, man, I like to, usually I'll just like for instance, today, I just find free moments of the day, of the week. But like, I like kicking it with my daughter. We'll play some Roblox. We'll go to the park. We'll do daddy-daughter days, usually every week. Today, it was just something as simple as I had to go take my car to get an oil change. And we were like maybe a mile away from this breakfast spot. So we just walked there, talked. Me and my wife have our nightly sessions or whatever, and have a good time, talking, shooting the breeze, watching different, we like watching gaming channels on YouTube, like people that play some good games. We'll play like Mario Kart. I love traveling. We just got back from we did a family trip to one of the spots we go to in Florida for like a week, and that was amazing. It was my parents, my brother and sister, her two daughters, my baby girl, and my wife. So I'm just real family oriented. Usually if I'm not doing anything, I like to kick it with my family, or I'll be chilling with some homies or whatever. But usually that's like work and play mixed together. So yeah.
Throughout the interview, you've been talking about your support system. How important has your support system been?
Oh man, it's been everything. Like I big up my wife all the time, because just being able, like we got married young. I was 22. She was 20, I believe. We just got into it very early, and then 6 months later is when we found out that we were expecting. But I knew her since I was 12. I knew what I was getting into. I knew what I wanted. I knew what she needed. It hasn't always been peachy keen, let me tell you that. But it was a good decision for us. And like, because of like us starting off from scratch in life like that, it allowed us to be what we needed to be for the other person, and to just come into ourselves comfortably. And so, yeah, having her is everything, having my daughter on board is everything. My parents know what I'm doing and everything, and supporting, just cheering me on, and just my family. Yeah. And then people, now that they see I'm outside, a lot of people waiting until, like, what I'm saying. I got a line on one of my next upcoming projects where I said, I thought I needed atypical figures to stop them from seeing a typical nigga, because I didn't really want to like come out and be like, yo, I'm a rapper. They're like, who else isn't? So had dealt with those types of insecurities, but I ain't really need to, because people were always supportive because they saw the type of person I was. So when I say I'm rapping, they're like, well, if Jay say he rapping, then it must be serious, because we know he values family and doing stuff correct. So it's been smooth.
Speaking of projects, you just dropped your EP, Jay Against the Galaxy, on June 24th. What was it like creating that?
Man, even the reason why the title is what it is because that whole experience was like a out of this world experience. I've always either leased beats or had some homies that I knew that can make some stuff, but the struggle I've always had was like, I'd want to change certain things, but I wasn't a producer. I wasn't anything like that. And so like, I would just rock with what I got, and I would rock it out. Like, it would be fire. People still celebrate some of the earliest stuff that I made, even though the mixing is not the best for me and all that good stuff, but they hear it. So with Jay Against the Galaxy, I got with my dog Sly Boy in Nashville, and that's fresh when I got my management. Shout out Paige, Nicole, Anna, Gabby, everybody. Bunch of ladies, you know, and they were with it. They were like, yo, we going against the industry and just like this male dominated space. And we're going to use our resources and our strength as women that we found in our jobs to create our own thing. And when they found me, I was like, yeah, let's get it. So I met Sly Boy through them. And we got together in Nashville, and from raw, like we just started messing around with sounds. We had instant chemistry. He's like a scientist. So I like executively produced and like said, hey, let's do this. Let's arpeggiate this. Let's bring this down. And he could play instruments. He's like, let's add this. Oh, I got some cool sounds. So it was just like a out of this world experience that I was stepping into the new of in a crazy big way. And everything came together. Like people don't know, like it didn't start like the order of the project was not like how I approached making it. Like I think the first song I made was Black Tesla. And then after that, I believe it was Butterflies. Then we did Clouds as the intro. And then we did Sativa and did the outro. But I'm like, it's missing something. I'm like, a love song. This needs a love song. So it really captured all of the elements of escapism to me, from lifting off and stepping into the new, from Butterflies, like what you feel in your stomach when you're trying to find something real and authentic. Black Tesla, because Elon Musk is just a intergalactic being, all the stuff he's doing with space, and just Tesla being a out of this world experience. Then you got Space Love, like a romantic love story of some intergalactic chick, and then you got Sativa, you know, like the strand of weed that's there to focus, to lift you up. So it's really cohesive, and it ended up being very cinematic, and I just love it. I just love the flow of it. All the songs can stand alone as singles, but when you listen to it together, people are like constantly hitting me in the DMs like, oh, I see what you did. And that's just the best response I can get from listeners, you know.
And nothing on it sounds the same. Each song has a different, unique vibe that gives you a different feeling and gets you in a different place.
Yeah, and that was intentional too. And the beauty of it is it's a hard thing that I don't know if I can necessarily. I won't doubt myself and say I can't, but it will be a different process to try to do that on purpose, like to have such different sounds, to have such a cohesive message, but a different approach, you know. So I'm like, you know, some stuff is just like bigger than you as an artist, where you're like, I did that, but I also feel like I had some help, you know, when it comes to like, just like, I don't know, whatever people want to connect that to, that's just the soul of it for me, where it's just like, you know, some things are just spiritual, to where it's not you necessarily writing everything. Cause I'm like, I couldn't conceptualize that necessarily and hold that all together. That's music is like that. It's beyond me. It's a vibration that, you know, you have to pull from things that exist in this universe that we might not understand. And that's what it was like making this.
For everyone out there, you gotta check it out. It's fire. It takes you to a different place. If you got it on repeat, don't put it on shuffle. Listen from song 1 to the end, and it's gonna be dope. It's a dope experience that you gotta check out.
Yeah, and it ain't even that long either. It's just, you know, it's one of those where I describe it like if you're ever leaning asleep on somebody, but you don't realize that they're holding you up until they move, and you're like, oh, snaps. You know, that's how it feels when you get to the end. It's like, wow, like and everybody's response is feeling like that. Like they were leaning on something that they were like all in until everything stops. So you just realize how much weight you were putting on listening and what it was doing for you. So, you know, yeah.
So there's a lot of artists and content creators listening. They're like, man, like JayPitts he's killing it. He's dropping good songs, not just dropping songs. The dude's dropping good songs. He's killing it on TikTok. I'm trying to get there. What message would you have for them?
I would just say, and it's crazy because for like 2-3 years, I studied my favorite artists and took gems from their pathways of success, listening to how they got to wherever they're at. And one thing I would hear them say consistently that I'd be like, okay. It would be, be true to yourself. And that would seem so corny. But I start to realize how important that is because of how easy it is to want to bite something that's new. When you see something somebody does go viral, you're like, well, I can do my version of that. And you just got to be careful because, you know, there's only one Michael Jordan. There's only one Kobe Bryant. You know, there's only one LeBron James. They're all the best in their own right. But they all bring their own specific skill set, and nobody should. If Kobe wanted to be the next Michael Jordan, he could have never been himself. That spot's already been filled. Be the very best you, and that's you offering something new to the world. And if that's not proof enough, God already gave you your own unique fingerprint that nobody else has. So let that be mirrored to everything else you do in life. You have to realize you're you, and what you have is something that only you can offer. And if you get away from that and try to mimic other people's fingerprints, it's not going to hit the same. You know, the universe has a code that will allow you to penetrate when you are you. And learning that and figuring that out is like the biggest key to life for anything you do, whether you're a construction worker or a photographer. You know, everybody takes photos, but what's your perspective? What's your fingerprint? You know, that's what I would say. Do that and find a way to be consistent with it. And as you grow, give value to others. It don't have to come in payment. It doesn't have to come in like, you know, value exchange. The way I came up with one of my homies was like, yo, if you do my music videos for me, I'll record your music and allow you to mix, and I'll show you what I know. And I needed videos. He needed to learn how to do that. So go in like that, and you'll find ways to kind of hack your way to the top of what you're trying to do. You know?
Again, you're touching on all the points. It's like when you get into any field, a lot of people will say, yo, JayPitts, I see you on TikTok killing it, tag me in a video or do this or that. But if you guys listen to what he said, him and his homeboy traded off and exchanged skills and worked cohesively to make something big. And that's what you have to do. You have to surround yourself with like-minded people on the same mission to get better and for growth. And the outcome is the sky's the limit.
Mm-hmm. And what you have is like literally like people say, well, oh, but I don't have as many TikTok followers as you. I don't have the ability to record myself. Okay, well, you have to use what you have. You know, what you have will be unique towards you. You know, like even like a fruit, a seed that you plant, you know, like maybe this soil's better, maybe this is something different, but what comes out in that fruit is only unique to that soil's environment. And there are things about it, whether what it lacks, what it has, that makes it better or more unique experience. So you have to embrace the things you don't have and just use what you do have. And coming from Detroit, that's not hard to do because it ain't really nothing to be had over here. So you have to use what you have and be creative with it. And that's one thing I love about this city. We will turn a piece of metal into a cup. We will turn a abandoned house into a meetup spot. We will turn a corner into a whatever, you know. So use what you have and be cool with what you got and what you don't have.
I'm not gonna hold you, man. I got lost in some of the metaphors. I was thinking like, okay, like, you know, you got the fruit, you got the fingerprints, like, okay.
yeah. What am I, like 3M? It's just normally that's just how I get down. That's how I understand life. It helps me so much to think of things that way. Sometimes when you make it indirect, it hits you even more directly, you know?
Yeah, it's easier to digest.
Mm-hmm.
You got the hits, you got the content. What else should we be expecting from JayPitts for the rest of 2022?
Oh man, I got some dope things planned. I've been recording like crazy. I took a year to just set up my team, my management, my lawyer, my business accountant. Shout out to all of them. Shout out to Chris. Shout out to Christian, my lawyer. Shout out to Nicole, Anna Page, Gabby. But this year I've been recording a lot of music. I got my next project already locked and loaded. I actually wrote the music video for my next single as we start to roll out everything pretty soon on the plane coming from VidCon. So yeah, I got one full-length project coming, and then fall, the plan is I'll be back in East Africa in Tanzania, and I'll be working on some stuff with some people I started with over there last year, and doing some filming for some things as well as some videos. Got big plans over there. It's going to be a great time taking my family out there again. So hopefully that falls through the way it should. But either way, everybody gonna get this content. They gonna get this process. I'm gonna make it into a great story, so that people can just latch on and see what we're doing. Because I'm really starting to see how impactful to the world this can be. Because I'm not just out here trying to look cool and make content. I'm actually trying to like get a message out there to relate to people, to spread positivity, to impact people, you know. And yeah, so people can expect that all 2022. And with the music, I'm just hitting so consistently, more videos, just a bunch of dope stuff.
Hey, and where can our listeners find you at? Where can they see that content and see that music at?
Yes, you need to follow me on TikTok at JayPitts100. That's JayPitts. JayPitts100, also on IG. We trying to run that up as much as we can. So I post a lot of good content over there. YouTube as well, where I post my blogs. I just posted the full blog for VidCon and how that went. A lot of dope exclusive stuff that people would not be able to see about VidCon because I had the full access pass going behind the scenes. Met a lot of my favorite TikTokers who actually knew who I was. And I'm like, what? Okay, I mean, cool. And then on all the listening services, JayPitts, JayPitts, no spaces, just everything together. So you find me there, and and you'll see everything that I got to offer, and I don't think you'll be disappointed.
Everybody out there, make sure you go check in. Make sure you go see some good content, because you don't want to see someone posting their cars, posting all this, and that stuff most of the time is cap. You want someone posting authentically. Then you want someone posting the behind the scenes and posting them so you get to see real content from real people. So make sure you go check out JayPitts.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, y'all better too. What up, though, from Detroit? This is your boy JayPitts, and you are listening to me now on the Love of It podcast.